Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we're tackling the Sunday Scaries,
Mm.
and I was surprised to see just how common this is. The research suggests something like 80% of us feel this specific kind of dread.
It's huge.
But the most interesting thing from the sources wasn't that we hate Mondays, it's how the whole phenomenon has, well, it's completely mutated.
It really has. I mean, you look back to the mid-20th century and the psychiatrist Viktor Frankl, he had a term for it, Sunday neurosis.
Right.
But he was describing a crisis of emptiness. When work stopped, people felt this existential vacuum. They basically didn't know what to do with themselves.
Which is just wild.
Yeah.
Because it's the polar opposite of what we're dealing with today.
A total reversal.
Yeah, we aren't suffering from a lack of things to do. We're suffering from overstimulation before the week even starts. It's not an existential crisis anymore. It's physiological.
It is measurable biology. The sources point straight to the cortisol awakening response, or ECR. So, normally, cortisol spikes in the morning to get you going. But on Sunday, your anticipation of the week ahead actually tricks your body's stress system, the HPA axis, into firing that fight-or-flight signal.
So it's happening early.
Almost 24 hours early.
Wow. So biologically, my body is already in the Monday morning meeting, even if I'm physically on the couch.
Exactly.
And the brain scan stuff they mentioned makes it even creepier. The default mode network, which I always just thought was for, harmless daydreaming, becomes an enemy here.
That's the real danger of unstructured time on a Sunday. When you don't have a task, that network takes over.
And it just runs wild.
In an anxious state, yeah. It doesn't daydream, it time travels, it replays past mistakes or, simulates future disasters.
And then we make it all worse by trying to force ourselves to sleep. This concept of social jet lag really clicked for me.
Oh, absolutely. We spend the weekend catching up on sleep, waking up at 10 instead of 7.
Right, shifting our schedule.
And you're basically giving yourself a massive phase delay. You've shifted your own internal time zone.
So when I try to go to bed early on Sunday to be responsible,
Your body's clock thinks it's like 7 p.m. You're in what's called the wake maintenance zone, a biological window where sleep is almost impossible.
so you're not an insomniac, you're just out of sync,
You're just trying to sleep in the middle of your biological day.
which explains the staring at the ceiling.
Yeah.
Okay, but we have to talk about the chemical side of this, specifically anxiety.
The glutamate rebound.
I just didn't realize there was such a direct link between Saturday night drinks and that Sunday afternoon feeling of doom.
It's pure chemistry. Alcohol mimics GABA, the chemical that relaxes you.
Okay.
When it wears off, your brain overcompensates by flooding itself with glutamate, which is an excitatory chemical. And that spike usually peaks 12 to 24 hours after you start drinking.
Right around Sunday afternoon.
Exactly. So that feeling of impending dread, it isn't always about your job. A lot of the time, it's just a chemical imbalance.
It's basically withdrawal pretending to be an existential crisis.
A perfect way to put it.
Now, on the psychology side, there was the Zeigarnik effect, that loop of unfinished tasks playing in your head, like open browser tab draining your battery.
And your brain interprets those open tabs as active threats. It keeps them front and center.
But the fix from the research is surprisingly simple.
Yeah.
It seems you don't actually have to do the work to close the tab.
That's the key distinction. The brain doesn't need completion. It just needs certainty. It needs a plan.
So just writing it down is enough.
If you take 5 minutes to write down what you'll do, when you'll do it, and how you'll do it, the brain classifies that task as handled. It offloads the mental burden.
It's a great strategy. But looking at all of this together, the cortisol, the circadian rhythm, the cycle loops, it feels like the Sunday Scaries is maybe less about anxiety and more about grief.
The idea of Sunday morning,
Yeah.
it's a powerful reframe, I think, that maybe we aren't just scared of the future work week. We're mourning the temporary death of our own autonomy.
That moment when your time stops being your own,
Exactly. Sunday night represents the end of your personal freedom.
which suggests the real fix might not be just, better planning or skipping a glass of wine. It might be structural,
Things like the right to disconnect laws that are popping up.
a way to reclaim that autonomy.
Because until we do, the body's going to keep treating Sunday like a threat.
Something to think about next time the sun goes down on a Sunday. Thanks for listening to this deep dive.